Lock of the night predictions last week go 3-0 and we sweep the board there in the UFC. Vitor Petrino goes out there and does the damn thing. I thought it was going to come by knockout, but it seemed like he started to rely on his jiu-jitsu a little bit more. But he still gets the win. We cash the lock of the night prediction there. On the regional scene as well, PFL Europe Series comes through with the McGrillen under 1.5, and LFA comes through as well with the Tobias and Porter under 1.5 coming through as well. That pushes our prediction record for the lock of the night to 57-17 for the year for plus 22.82 units and 6% ROI. That is a 5-unit risk sample size. If you put 5 units on every single lock of the night prediction, that's what you would be up this year alone. So shout out to anybody that's been tailing on those and cashing on those as well. Again, obviously we take odds into consideration as well, but what I want the lock of the night prediction to be is something that you guys can rely on week in and week out to hit consistently. Whether you guys end up betting it straight or throwing it into a parlay, I want to ensure that that leg or that ticket ends up cashing for you more often than not, and that's why you guys come to your boy for that as well, and we got the proof to back it up as well. This week, we got 3 more Lock of the Night candidates for you guys for UFC Vegas 77. Before I quickly get into them, shout out to everybody that's been checking out the MMA Fight Archive. For anybody that does their own researching and loves to do the tape studying themselves, the MMA Fight Archive is the hub for that. We got over 40 new members signed up since May, and they're taking full advantage of the fact that we got KSW, CFFC, and Fury FC going down this week, not to mention a plethora of other events going down next week, which I'll talk about later this week. But all of that will be posted on the Fight Archive, where you guys will have direct links to past fights for every single one of the competitors on those cards. There's no place where you'll be able to find as in-depth fight links, knowing that I'm the best in the world in collecting these links and putting these things together. Make sure you guys check it out. MMA Fight Archive. Get a 7-day free trial by checking out the link in the description below. All right. Let's get right into the 3 best the 3 Lock of the Night candidates for UFC Vegas 77. First of which, again, I don't mind a little bit of chalk if I feel very good about it. And this guy's definitely one of the contenders here in Evan Elder, who comes in roughly around that minus 290 range. I think he has a tremendous advantage here over Gennaro Valdez, who, yes, will go out there and fight for your money. And I can already see the people on social media going hoopla about getting plus 280, plus 300 on a guy like Gennaro Valdez. But don't forget that this guy is almost getting knocked out by an Alaska FC product. And this guy, his best trait is the fact that he loves to go to war, but he's shown that he can get knocked out as well. His skill or level of competition on the regional scene was not the greatest, and he was still finding himself in trouble in a lot of those matchups. Evan Elder is a Kill Cliff FC product that can go out there, put the hurting on his opponents, and even though he's 0-2 in the UFC, he could easily be 1-1 in the UFC, considering that his last matchup was stopped due to a cut, even though the first 2 rounds, all judges unanimously scored him 20-18, and he was 5 minutes away from picking up his first UFC victory. The Preston Parsons fight, which was his UFC debut, came in on short notice, and he wilted under the grapple-heavy approach of Parsons that night. But that is not Valdez's game. Valdez wants to go out there and throw down, and I don't think he's ready for the power-punching style and forward pressure of a fully prepared and full training camp version of Evan Elder. So he will be the first Lock of the Night candidate for this weekend's card. The second one, the next 2 are going to be violence ones. So we're going to go with the under 1.5 in Terrence McKinney and Nazim Sadikov, who I just talked about a little bit earlier in the Evan Elder breakdown. The under 1.5 currently sits at minus 175. And I feel like McKinney, a guy who we know goes out there and just throws caution to the wind and either gets to finish himself or gets finished himself. And I believe that he can continue that trend. I believe it's 17 of his 18 fights have finished under 1.5, an absolutely crazy statistic. And I think that ends up holding up here. And I think he's actually a live underdog as well, considering the speed and explosivity advantage he's going to have over Sadikov. However, we know when he's not able to get that early finish, he ends up slowing up pretty quickly, and his opponents are able to muster up a finish of their own and get him out of there. So at minus 175 for the under 1.5, which last time around was closer to that minus 300 range, I think it's worth a potential Lock of the Night candidate as well. And then the final lock of the night candidate is going to be Otman Azaitar versus Francisco Prado, under 1.5, currently sitting at -150. Both guys like to go out there and bang, and we know more often than not, Azaitar likes to go out there and throw down as well and try to get the knockout finish himself. And even if he doesn't, he more than likely gets knocked out himself, and he has the perfect dance partner this weekend in Mr. Prado, who's really going to be throwing down with him as well. The kid's still young, the kid's still raw, and the kid still thinks he can go out there and finish most of his opponents. His last fight, short notice UFC debut against a much more complete Jamie Malarkey, ended up going the distance considering the wrestling and grappling that he had to deal with that night. But knowing Azaitar, knowing Prado, both these guys are likely going to throw down in the center of the cage and produce a finish within 7.5 minutes. So at -150, the under 1.5 is a no-brainer for me as a potential lock of the night candidate. If you want to know exactly what the lock of the night is going to be for UFC Vegas 77, check out the Patreon link in the description below. That's where you'll see all of my lock of the night predictions posted. Make sure you guys check it out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the new segment, the top 3 dog of the night predictions for UFC Vegas 77. See you guys then.